I had the opportunity to witness a colleague whose spouse had died. And we were in one of those long hallways where, faculty offices are. And when this colleague came back from the 2-day break, which I see as a denial of death and denial of grief, that we only get 2 days to grieve for people who are very close to us. When the colleague came back from the 2-day grieving period, she was walking down the hall, and as she walked down the hall, doors were closing. People were actually hiding out not because they were being cruel and not because they didn't care, but because they didn't know what to say. They didn't have any idea how you would respond to someone who had just lost someone so close to them. So that not talking, everyone was awkward, everyone was hoping that she would be better and it would just blow over. We have no idea how to deal with it. We have no idea what death looks like. It's really scary. A lot of teenagers get their images of death from movies. It's nothing like in the movies. We don't see dead bodies until they've been made up and displayed for us in the casket. A lot of people have closed coffins because they don't want to be remembered that way. So death is really scary to us because we pretend it doesn't happen. One of the problems that I think we have is that we don't talk about it. Like, you could have one view of death. You could think that, Paul, you get hit by a car, that's it, extinction, no sensation, no feeling, nothing. And you could think that you float out of your body and just go to heaven or float around the room or live as a ghost or whatever. But there's no talk about it. In a society that doesn't talk about it, how do we know what to do when someone dies? Someone dies, you go to the movie. You're being very stoic, you're inhibiting your grief, you're holding it in. You go to see a sad movie and someone dies in the movie and you're sobbing uncontrollably. And it's a dark room and people can't see you and you're getting out some of that while you're watching this movie. And it's objectified, it's removed from, this is me crying about this person that I miss. This is me crying because it's a sad movie. Watching scary movies helps us deal with our fears. Watching romantic movies helps us deal with and define love and romance. Watching movies about death and dying helps us deal with the fact that we die. It's the only place it's allowed to be talked about. And I think the face of death, what death looks like, we get from the movies. It's an idealized, stylized face of death. But those images that are in the movies are the image that each generation walks away with. And I've seen those images change as different events happen in our society. When we're at war, we have much more violent images. After the 9/11 terrorist attacks, you started to see images of people exploding in the movies in a way that you didn't see before. And the number one consumers of these kinds of movies are teenagers, are young people, because they're formulating what is their image of death and dying, what does it mean? And I think movies are both reflecting and creating. They're reflecting some of what we're thinking and feeling, but they're also creating new feelings and new moods in us from what we're seeing there. So I think they're very powerful. in terms of how we view death and dying and how we deal with death and dying.